Welcome to our symposium on advancing research on emotional well-being, introducing a family well-being research network. I'll show you our agenda and our speakers for today's session. So I will introduce our research network called FAMNet. I'm Eve Wittenberg from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Our next speaker will be Dr. Tracy King, who will introduce the National Institutes of Health Emotional Wellbeing Network of Networks. And then we will talk about the components of our network called FAMNet. So I will speak about research components. Janelle Hanmer will speak about research funding and research mentorship. And then Lisa Prosser will moderate our questions and discussion part of the session. Each of us will introduce ourselves briefly, and then we'll go on with the session. And we'll start with an introduction from Dr. Tracy King.
Hi. I'm Tracy King. I'm a medical officer at NICHD, and I'm the program officer for this network. It's great to be here today.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hanmer. I'm at the University of Pittsburgh. Really glad to be here and talk about this project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Prosser from the University of Michigan. I'm really excited to be part of the PI team for this study.
Okay, thank you all. So I want to talk about the goal of FAMNet, and our intention is to support and advance research on the measurement of family well-being and pediatric quality of life by funding new areas of study, supporting and mentoring the next generation of scholars, and providing education and resources for researchers. We are funded by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, also known as NICHD, the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Medicine, or NCCIH, and the NIH Office of Disease Prevention. As already noted, Dr. King is our program officer from NICHD, and we have two scientific officers from NCCIH, Erin Quinlan and Meerav Sabri. We are a collaborative network composed of 3 institutions with 3 PIs, all of whom are here today, the University of Michigan, Harvard University, the University of Pittsburgh, and we collaborate with the National Institutes of Health on this project. We're part of a larger network of 6 emotional well-being networks that together comprise an entire effort from NIH, which we'll be hearing a little bit more about. Our focus is on family well-being, and that is across the lifespan from childhood to older ages, and all the people who comprise families in all the different definitions of family structure that exist. We're focused on measurement, so we are really interested in trying to advance the research of how to capture family well-being outcomes, again, all the way across the lifespan from childhood through older ages. And our real goal of FAMNet is to catalyze research by providing resources and creating connections among researchers. We're now going to hear a little bit about the National Institutes of Health Research Framework from Dr. King.
Thanks, Dr. Wittenberg, for that great introduction. It's my pleasure today to share with you all an overview of NIH efforts on emotional well-being. Next slide. There have been several efforts identifying knowledge gaps in the science of well-being that have informed NIH efforts. One is this panel on subjective well-being that was convened by the National Academies back in 2013. It highlighted the complexity of this topic and the need for greater attention to measurement issues, data collection strategies, and potential policy relevance. In April 2018, a roundtable was convened by NIH, led by the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health and the NIH Office of Behavioral and Social Sciences Research, and it was attended by multiple NIH staff and members of the research community. This roundtable addressed issues around developing, testing, and implementing strategies to promote emotional well-being and identified the need for more consistent terminology and better measures across a wide range of research fields. For us at NICHD, our interest in the science of emotional well-being relevant specifically to children and families was also informed by an expert forum on child health outcomes convened by the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality in 2016. This forum was prompted by the disproportionate number of recommendations by the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, or USPSTF, that are rated I for insufficient evidence when compared to the number of recommendations focused on adults. This forum identified the need for better tools for measuring patient-centered outcomes, including quality of life, to assess the effectiveness of clinical preventive services delivered in childhood and adolescence. In response to these identified knowledge gaps, NIH undertook an effort to fund a network of research infrastructure networks to advance the study of emotional well-being. This effort is supported by the NIH components listed here, including the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, the National Institute on Aging, our institute, the National Institute for Child Health and Human Development, as well as the Office of Behavioral and Social Sciences Research and the Office of Disease Prevention at NIH. It utilizes a U24, a cooperative agreement mechanism, specifically to facilitate NIH involvement and coordination across all of the networks. The program vision and goals for this effort are to increase understanding of the fundamental constituents of emotional well-being, to examine these constituents as potential intervention targets or outcomes, to refine and implement science-based intervention strategies to enhance aspects of emotional well-being, and to develop measurement methodologies to optimize and scale up well-being interventions. The specific high priority research areas identified by NIH for this effort are listed here. They include ontology and measurement of emotional well-being, mechanisms of emotional well-being and health, biomarkers of emotional well-being, the relationship between emotional well-being and prevention, technology and outcome measures for mechanistic studies of emotional well-being, and the development and validation of emotional well-being measures. In total, 6 networks have been awarded as part of this effort, and I'm going to briefly review them here, mainly to highlight the breadth of science and populations that comprise the networks that make up this network. One is Emotional Wellbeing and Economic Burden Research Network, led by a team at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. The next one is this network to advance the study of mechanisms underlying mind-body interventions and measurement of emotional well-being, led by a team at the University of Connecticut. One is the Plasticity of Well-Being, a research network to define, measure, and promote human flourishing. And this is led by a team at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. One to advance psychosocial and biobehavioral approaches to improve emotional well-being, led by a team at UCSF. One on the Network for Emotional Well-Being and Brain Aging, led by a team at the University of Rochester. And last but far from least is the Family Wellbeing Research Network, measuring family well-being across the lifespan, led by the team presenting here today with us.
Okay, thank you very much for that overview from the NIH perspective. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of our Family Wellbeing Research Network. And I am going to give you an overview of the 3 different components that comprise our work. So the first one is our research resources, which are a web-based repository. The second is research funding, which takes the form of pilot grants. The third is research mentorship, which for us takes the form of a research scholar corps. So first we want to talk about the research resources. So there are 3 parts of our web-based resource repository. We have databases, instruments, and videos. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to each of those. So our web-based resource repository datasets will be a curated catalog of datasets that contain data elements that are relevant to families, family members, and outcomes, all focused on well-being. They will be both publicly accessible datasets and proprietary ones. and they will be cataloged for searching and for easy identification. An example of this type of database that will help to facilitate research on family well-being measurement is the Health and Retirement Survey. So the Health and Retirement Survey Childhood, Family, and Child Health Aggregated Dataset. Each of our datasets will have a description like this and a link to the dataset. So in this case, it would include the time period that the dataset covers. So this aggregated data in HRS goes from 1992 to 2016, and it highlights childhood background, family, and health. It's retrospective. We will give a description of the sample size, the variables, and the sort of identifiers that are available. So when we highlight data sets to help researchers find resources for their work in this area, we'll give a description like this and a link. So that's an example of the type of data set that will be available in our web-based repository. We're also going to include instruments. We will have a catalog of pediatric quality of life and well-being instruments, and we'll also have a catalog of family outcomes measures and instruments. And everything will be annotated and tagged for searching. In addition to this, we will have links to existing adult well-being measures catalogs, and these also will be annotated with descriptions about their content and the scope. And we'll have links to our partner networks measures repositories. So one of the advantages of being part of a network of networks is that we can also leverage the resources of the 5 other networks, and everything that we do will be connected to those other networks so that we're really making the most of this much broader effort that NIH is sponsoring. So an example of one of the partners, which is actually within one of the institutions that is part of our networks, is the Shung Center for Health and Happiness at the Harvard School of Public Health. They already have a repository of positive psychological well-being scales that includes all of these different types of instruments, and we will link to them. They are one of our institutional partners, but this gives really access to such a broad variety of instruments that we will catalog and put together, but also makes use of what is already out there. And we will be serving as a portal to allow people to more easily get to some of these things that are available that are sometimes hard to find or maybe are hard to be aware of. Finally, we will have educational videos. All of these will be open access. They will be cataloged and annotated for content. So these will include things like our own FAMNet symposia and meetings. We'll have recordings of these, our sponsored research symposia, and we'll also have reports from our funded pilot projects and scholars research, which we'll give you a little bit more information about in just a few minutes. So this will all be available in educational videos. And again, we will have our partner networks events that are recorded available through our resource repository. And we'll also selectively curate some externally produced recorded events that are directly relevant to our goals and our focus. So that gives you an overview of the resources that will be available to facilitate and catalyze research from within our network. Now we're going to talk a little bit about research funding, and I am going to hand over to Dr. Handmer.
Thank you, Eve. I'm excited to talk about this important part of our network in which we're able to provide some, basically some pilot grants as well as some scholarship funds to help advance the entire area. So there's 2 parts. There's our pilot grants and then there's our scholarship core, and those are not mutually exclusive. You can be a part of both. So the research pilot grants are meant to develop and advance new ideas and scalable approaches to the measurement of foundational knowledge of family well-being. We're really interested in the lifespan perspective. So we're going from childhood through older adults. And as part of the MDM perspective, we're interested in family-focused metrics and ways in which we can combine well-being across multiple people into a single metric. So for the pilot grants, grantees will be required to participate in network symposia, workshops, and webinars. You're going to have access to support for research and dissemination, both through our website and through other activities. And you're going to receive feedback from a great group of mentors on external funding opportunities. We want our pilot grants to contribute to our FAMNet impact and theme. We want you to advance the methods, and we want to develop investigators. So anyone contributing to the network will get connections with our other sponsoring institutions, with our resources, with our Scholar Corps, and our partner networks. We're opening up these pilot grant applications now. You can start putting them in January of this upcoming year. We plan to award up to $10,000 per award, and they need to be used over the next 12 months, although we will allow a 6-month no-cost extension if needed. We will make our decisions within 2 months of your submission, and we're going to have a webinar in December and then again annually to discuss the specifics of getting funding. Separate from that is our Research Scholar Corps. So this Scholar Corps is really meant to support and foster scholarship pipeline for future research on family well-being and measurement. And this is intended for trainees and junior faculty such as those on K Awards. We're going to provide multidisciplinary mentoring and training, and we're going to create a peer network of like-minded researchers to advance this area. We're going to promote the core members by highlighting you on the website and including you in things like our annual symposia. The Scholarship Corps is a year-long program. We can help you find a mentor if you do not have one. You may also apply as a matched pair with a mentor if you have one that works with you. We'll provide up to $4,000 of support for research activities, and you can tell us what you need that's going to make you a better scholar. And our job is to help integrate you into this wider network of many different mentors and opportunities. Again, highlighting you on our website, getting you to our annual symposia, getting a network of people to help build all of this infrastructure and knowledge. Our applications are going to open in January of next year. There will be an application process described on our website, and we expect to include about 12 scholars over the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you, Janelle, and also thank you, Tracy, for this overview. What we're going to do next is we're going to devote the rest of our session to questions and discussion, and we really welcome both ideas about our topic and also any specific questions about what we have proposed, what the activities will be, how to get involved, anything that particularly relates to SMDM or our broader effort here. I'll also note that you can follow us on Twitter, and you can join our email list to be informed on an ongoing basis about funding opportunities, webinars, online activities, and resources that will help the broader community of research as well as specifically our efforts. So please send an email if you want to be kept informed and take a look at our Twitter feed. And now I'm going to open it up for discussion, and Dr. Prosser will be moderating this part of the session.